Hi, everyone. My name is Moon, and this is,
I'm Coco.
and we have both decided to start the Blueray Collective.
Yeah, we have decided, or we were guided to start the Blueray Collective, really. It's been a year of a journey to get us here, of us connecting together and healing through so much and being entangled to bring us to this time and space. And we are here ready to share our mission and what we're here to bring.
We both connected over QHHT, Quantum Hypnosis Healing Technique by Dolores Cannon. She has designed this technique to be able to get in touch with your higher self or your subconscious self and be able to regress into the past, future, and parallel lives. And we have made really, really good use of it. For the past year, we've been doing sessions on each other. And during that time, we were able to connect with a lot of guidance, with a lot of beings, with a lot of interesting occurrences in this dimension as well as others, that we are now ready to actually open up the platform and engage with more people and share our stories as well as share other people's stories.
Yeah, we want to create a collective of individuals that are moving through this shift together, this quantum shift that we're moving in the universe, along with moving through anything internally, because obviously any external shift is really dependent on what we're moving through internally. So we want to be able to create a support system of individuals guiding and inspiring and expanding one another through this time. And we're just so excited to do that. And we also want to be able to help people tap into their multidimensional selves, allowing them to remember their past, present, future lifetimes to integrate into this time and space, so that they can expand their life and themselves right now, along with allowing them to connect to other possible sources that are out there in the universe, because there's a lot of good, positive light beings that want to integrate and help us during this time.
Mm-hmm. And also we want to normalize the multidimensional experience. The thing is, during our process of getting to know each other and expanding our understanding of the subconscious and each other's collective conscious space, we have realized that our life is completely changing. We don't only interact in the 3D, we interact with so many different timelines now that we function in a different way. And I think there's a lot of people who are waking up by themselves or just sporadically getting an understanding of what's happening in the waking up process, but it still feels like they're alone in this, or they're going crazy, or it's really difficult for them to move through it. And since we've been going through it ourselves and sharing each other's stories and each other's growth process, we thought this kind of support system was extremely helpful for both of us. And we want to be able to do that for everyone as well. And also the sense of the collective is it's not just us telling people what we have experienced and what's going on. Like, we want to have other people share their stories, allow a platform where we can listen to each other, support each other, share information, share experiences to a degree that everything just kind of takes to the next level, and we all can anchor these new realities into each other's lives and make it normal.
Yeah, and I think like the future is in community and us getting together, and whether it is not, even if it's not in person, if it is online, and hopefully eventually over time in person and whatnot, that us connecting and supporting each other, that like escalates the energy and the frequency that we hold and that we're able to activate within ourselves. We can only do so much on our own, and loneliness is actually, it won't let you go as far as you think it will let you go, you know? So I think there's just such a big mission in the fact that we need to be getting together, getting in conversations, speaking with one another, supporting one another through this process.
And also the stories are really interesting because they are not things that happen usually in the 3D space. You know, we interact with different kind of beings, like extraterrestrial as well as mythical beings, you know, and those beings come with their own characters and their own stories and their own experiences of this multidimensional space. And it's more than interesting, and sharing these stories, hearing these stories, it gets super exciting. So we are very, very excited to be able to get people together like this. And please join our community, share your stories, don't hold back. We're going to try not to hold back at all. Be as authentic as possible, just show up as you are, and we'll do the same.
Yeah, definitely. Well, maybe we can share a little bit about ourselves and our purpose, and then share the story of the Blueray Collective.
Sounds good.
Okay. My name is Cornelia, short for Coco. My mission here is to help people illuminate things that are holding them back from reaching their fullest potential. So tapping into any past memories or any traumas from childhood that are holding them back from really truly living the fullest experience in this now moment, along with transitioning through this paradigm shift that we're having. I had my greatest awakening in 2020. I've always been into spirituality and whatnot, but like my greatest awakening was in 2020 when everything was happening. And it was just like this confirmation that my purpose is truly to be here during this time of this shift, this grand transition, because I think we're going to be living incredible times coming through within the next few years and many years on. And I'm here to help people make understanding of what is happening in the world right now. So, yeah.
That's great. And my name is Moon, and my artist name is Atma Chao. And my thing, my entire life as growing up, was that I always thought there must be more than what I can see. There must be more what they tell me that reality is. And I've always wanted to expand my consciousness to a degree that I can see beyond what is visible. And I also had this thing of finding the others, find the others who are like you, find the others who have the same interests, same mindset, or the same kind of curiosity about existence in the universe. And I think my entire journey throughout life has been about finding the others, and I found Cornelia.
Now we're gonna find the others. The Blueray star seeds.
Exactly. It's so interesting because both of our journeys, of course, we've been both very much into different types of spiritual teachings and spiritual directions. Me coming from Mongolia, we have a very shamanic background, as well as practicing Taoist martial arts and different kind of energy techniques like Reiki. You know, there's all these different awakenings that happen. But coming to QHHT and what Dolores Cannon has taught us, being able to travel the subconscious mind to connect with the collective mind as well as with the higher self, was absolutely mind-blowing. And that experience very much changed my life to a degree I can barely put into words right now. And both Cornelia and I, we started studying QHHT independently, and I reached out to her through the website and I was like, oh, you live nearby, we have same interests, do you want to exchange sessions? And just that one exchange sessions turned into an entire year of at least once a month jumping into each other's subconscious space, helping each other navigate through huge traumas and trials and tribulations, as well as amazing, elating experiences of connecting with the most amazing beings and getting incredible guidance. And living together and co-creating together with our guides who have been assigned to each one of us to navigate this pretty difficult time, you know, as we're all awakening and as we're fighting a lot of breakdowns in our lives and in society, and overcoming these kind of challenges. It's so much worth to be able to be with others, to be able to support each other, just listen to each other, being able to help each other connect with our ancestors and all the help that we have on the other side, and just becoming aware of what's really actually truly happening. And we see ourselves as part of this movement of these people that are already on the way of awakening. And whatever we have learned so far, we are so excited and elated to be able to share. And we want to learn from you guys. We want to hear your crazy stories. We want to experience what you've experienced. How did your awakening take place? And where are you in the process? Because it's a process, right? We're peeling the onion one by one, getting into all these different aspects of self and different aspects of evolution and co-creation and becoming manifestors and creating the realities that we want. And we are here to create the alternative, right? And creating the alternative only works as a group, as a community, as people who are of the like mind and vibrate on the same frequency. And we are here definitely to awaken, to level up and link up. And this is what we're about.
I love that. I was like getting so many downloads as you're saying all of that. Okay, we're had to touch on, so the QHHC part about like the way it helped you discover like a whole part of yourself. It's so true, because a good way of like what I can compare it to, it's like your dream space, you know, when you're like traveling through so many different like parallel lifetimes that you may be going through. It's almost the same way. It really helps you astral travel, whether it is to a past life, a future timeline, another planet, just a cosmos, or just exploring different parts of your psyche that may come in different forms. You know, you're able to speak with your guides, other beings, and get so much guidance about your life. I feel like my past year of my life has been one of the most intense years. I've lived through a lot. I've moved through so many different places, and I was able to integrate it fast because we were working, you know, every other week, getting on the calls and doing sessions, and I was able to integrate it as I was going, you know. And if I didn't have that, then I would probably think I'm going crazy. And because we're going through this crazy shift, like you're saying, you're seeing a lot of breakdowns, you know, and people are, I'm looking at my close ones and whatnot, and a lot of people are going through insane shifts in their life where it's, you know, divorces or just them discovering other passions, and they're not really understanding why it's happening. But we're here to help guide, you know, and make sense of what's going on, because time has sped up at such a high rate that we need to find tools to be able to integrate all of this, as we are integrating all these multidimensional parts of ourselves. Yeah,
exactly. It's really interesting because everything is becoming more and more quantum, right? Because we're doing quantum hypnosis. There's a reason why the word quantum is coming up with this discovery of quantum physics, and that nothing is actually solid. And we're also, since 2012, we've gotten into the space of being closer to the photon band, or we're already inside the photon band.
mm-hmm.
Our realities are shifting so fast. Our thoughts and ideas and minds and belief systems are what's it called, mirroring in our physical space way faster and way stronger, you know. And our linear mind is going in a certain way with all these conditionings that we have and everything that we have learned, how people would deal with trauma, how people deal with difficult situations, overwhelming emotions. When the mind starts breaking down and not being able to be linear, like there's real changes that are happening, you know. And the more we shift into this quantum space, the more we actually have to understand how to be able to navigate it. It's almost like being on psychedelics, you know, just you know, it's minimal in comparison to psychedelics, but the more we get into the space, it's like that. So everything that we think is manifesting so quickly. And if we have all these old things, you know, all these old memories, all these old programmings that are still going and going and have so much momentum, manifesting it even stronger and challenging ourselves even more until we have to break down even harder to jump out of it. And some of it is necessary, and we're here to like catch, you know, and give some advice and share our experiences. But some of it is easy to start steering it, you know. And when we share how we're doing it, when other people share how we do it, we can create this toolbox with each other, how to navigate quantum space, you know, how to navigate our dreams, as you're saying, you know, because this reality, this thick, dense 3D reality is merging with the dream space where everything is
Yes,
possible. There's no
that's so
time,
well put.
yeah, and us learning how to be aware as things are like merging and becoming more malleable. We are figuring out new tools how to do that, and the stories, they're amazing. They're interesting and amazing.
Yeah, it's like everyone thought that in 2012 we were coming to like an end of the world, and in a way we are ending a world, but we got to remember we're birthing a new one. And this is what Dolores talked about, the Mayans talked about, everyone talked about it. And so like now we're in this process where we're like in this uncomfortable process where we're not there yet, but we're like moving through the painful like the birthing process has already begun. Like we're past a part where it's like we haven't birthed, like we're in it, but it's like really uncomfortable because we're like
Learning
going
how to
through it.
walk, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
we're learning, but like, all right, yeah,
it's like our moves, our walks are still
yeah,
shaky, we still have to kind of hold on and stuff, but soon we'll be able to jump to time
yeah.
space continuums as we wish. We're able to quantum jump, we're able to foresee different kind of scenarios and change them ahead of time, or collaborate with our guides that tell us ahead of time, okay, this timeline is going to lead this way, this timeline is going to lead that way. What is your choice? Our choices become much more informed, right?
Yeah.
There's so many ways of us navigating the space now, and yeah, better together.
Yeah, that is in a nutshell what's happening. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, and so I guess we were guided by our guides and by the light teams that are working with us to create Blueray Collective. We have a pretty nice story over the past year. I think from the beginning, after a few sessions, we were kind of already getting guided to be like, all right, you guys should continue doing this more and more. And it's interesting because, when you do one session with someone, that's one thing, but when like we're so intertangled where we're doing it for a year straight, we've gotten to know our subconscious so much, and we have been able to develop quite a bit of trust with one another and move through similar things that we were moving through. We've noticed at the beginning, like when Moon was healing through something, the next thing you know, whatever that was mirroring to that was happening in my life or the other way around. So that's been kind of interesting. But we've also were guided through with some of the multidimensional beings that are coming through to create this. And ones that are holding of the higher vibration, and they're from the higher dimensional space. And they're here to help people and our planet to move through this time as well.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I wanted to say about our entanglement, our quantum entanglement that we've been experiencing. I had this ayahuasca ceremony not too long ago, and one of the guides of the session, she is a good friend of mine, she actually told me when people come together in ceremony and heal together, when one person purges it, then he's doing healing, or he or she is doing the healing for the group.
Brothers.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really interesting. So as we are kind of entangling our healing, our healing journey together, we are mirroring a lot of things, right? So as I'm going through a process, I think there's a certain kind of thing where both of us are kind of releasing the similar energy through a session, no matter who is going under. And same thing with you, when you're going through a specific thing, it actually triggers something in me that's getting released, So I can only imagine if we create this really strong and intimate and authentic team or collective, online even, with people all over the world, how much healing we can do for the collective.
Yeah, I even like imagine like maybe holding calls with people at some point, with everyone coming through and kind of talking about what they're moving through and like what they're desiring to create and to co-create, because I think our power will be with like creating gatherings, where everyone's like doing all the work together and just elevating together.
Exactly. Yeah, we would love to have different kind of video submissions of people who want to share their story, or if there's something that we talk about in one of our podcast posts or reels, please feel free to respond in video, respond in messages, respond in any type of way you want. And if it feels aligned, And on topic, we would love to share it. We want to give people a platform to share themselves as well and share their stories, share their experiences. And we have also QHHC clients. We're both practitioners, so we have incredible experiences where we're traversing time space with them. And there's so many interesting stories from people from all over the world with different ancestry, with different galactic background. Like, this is going to be really, really interesting as we continue this journey.
We have some interesting stories and sessions that we need to share too.
Oh, we have a full year.
Yeah, a full year of stuff where
we recorded everything,
Yeah, we've both lived lives in like so many different parallel universes, parallel timelines and planets and whatnot. So
definitely. I remember there was this one story where Cornelia was actually, that relates to Blueray Collective too, like how it came about, where she was in ancient Egypt. You were in some sort of pyramid, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I came to visit you. I put you on. You were in regression. You were embodying an Egyptian woman who was trapped in one of the pyramids back then, and
underneath it.
Visit you.
You were, I think you were like one of my guides or something. You were a dragon, which you have a lot with dragons overall, so it made total sense.
Again,
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you want to talk about your visitation during your ayahuasca ceremony?
Yeah, exactly. So that particular ayahuasca session that I mentioned earlier, in that session on the second day, I had a very, very interesting experience where I was doing a fire healing. I was sitting in front of the fire and I did a bunch of light language and movements where I was clearing my energy space and my chakras from all the things that I wanted to let go of. And that raised my frequency to such a degree that I was able to connect with beings that showed up extremely viscerally during the ayahuasca session. I closed my eyes. It was literally the same as looking at black and white TV and looking at our reality, how much more real this reality was in comparison to the black and white TV one. It was the opposite with them. Whenever I closed my eyes, there were these beings that were present, higher dimensional beings, where our reality looked like black and white TV, and their reality was much, much more strong and visceral and hyper reality type. And these three beings came through and they didn't say anything per se, like through voice and human language. They were transmitting information, and much of the information I was just slowly untangling afterwards. But one thing that I got for sure was that they are here to come and help and support and be my guides, and I should prepare for more contact. And yeah, the cool thing is these beings were blue. They were blue, and I confirmed later that the beings were from Sirius. And they had these big black eyes that were slanted and had this huge bar in the middle of their forehead, right where their third eye would be. And the three of them would just stare at me with such a strong presence. I was sitting there hyperventilating, like, oh my God. That happened. It took me like an hour after they showed up to get my wits together.
So powerful. I'm getting chills.
It was so powerful, and it was one of the most incredible experiences I had. And I believe it's just the beginning, but it's also the beginning of the Blueray Collective, because I did a regression on Cornelia where we know more about it. And you want to tell us more what your experience was under?
Yeah, and so we were asking like who these beings were and like what they were meant to be. And I was like, oh my gosh, like they appeared in front of me and then they handed me a lotus. And I remember because I even took my actual hands up and I was like holding, because it was just such strong energy, it was such strong transmission. And I was holding this lotus and I'm like, Moon, I can see it. They're giving me the lotus. And so that created what the Blueray Collective is, and a part of our logo is the lotus, which is part of transformation, blooming.
Also, the thing about the lotus, what I love about the symbology of the lotus is that lotus grows in places where there's a lot of mud. You know what I mean? The most beautiful, most ethereal flower comes in places where there's so much darkness. And as the blue lotus kind of arises and gives hope, you know, gives spirit and shows that there can be a lot of beauty that happens in the darkness, but you have to go through the darkness, you have to do the shadow work to be able to transform into the essence of a flower that is blooming and blossoming.
Yeah, and I think also part of our mission that we want to like stress is that it's okay to be going through like low vibe times and the dark times, because the whole process isn't only light and love and like ascension. As we're moving up,
Mhm.
it a lot of people get stuck on the idea of like, oh, we need to stay high vibe and we need to be always like in up there, but the reality is that it's all moving up and down and the journey isn't straight. So
Yeah, it's definitely.
normalizing that experience. Yeah,
Exactly. It's the experience of death and rebirth all the time.
over and over again.
You have to shed the old to become the new, and we're
Yeah.
used to these cycles, these death and rebirth cycles in bigger extensions, but it's getting faster and faster. I feel like we're moving through really, really heavy stuff that we were able to move through maybe in like 5, 6 years back then. We do
Mhm.
it in 5, 6 weeks if we're like, if not
Yeah.
days.
And a lot of people are saying that they're like, so much is happening, but and that's why we're needing to integrate faster and faster and adjust to the birth and re. It's okay. Because like as we're getting these activations, like this Lionsgate portal, like that was intense for most people, you know. And I was bedridden for 2 weeks after that because I was integrating everything. And like it's okay to have 2 weeks down, you know, it's fine. And you're watching a movie or whatever. But then you have those 2 weeks where you're super high vibe and you're creating and you're inspired and you want to speak. So honoring these cycles is huge.
So important. I know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, in this past year, we went through so many ups and downs, right? Like energetic ups and downs. We would have normal things happening in our lives, and also a lot of processes that we're going through during the hypnosis. But in between, we would be like, okay, this week I'm super high vibe and I'm creating left and right, and
Yeah.
the week after everything's blowing up in our face and it's like, okay, get your manifestation straight. You know, what did you put in your manifestation bowl this time? What did
Right. And also the I think another thing is like the constant shift of I've noticed this around with other awakened beings and myself majorly over the past year is like who I thought I had a vision that I would be last year is not really the vision I hold now, but I'm seeing it with other beings where this they've like had a maybe an idea of like them living in Bali forever and like creating community there, but like now Bali is actually becoming not so great to live in because of the COVID restrictions and whatnot, and they're having to actually relocate to more dense populated places, you know,
Mhm.
like back into the city and whatnot. So it's just all across spectrum. It's okay to like revise visions of yourself and redirect time. It's basically timeline hopping, you know,
Exactly.
and not being stuck on what you've thought you envisioned for yourself to be, but being more malleable. Because as we're moving into this more age of Aquarius, that's really what it's about. It's about staying in flow and moving. It's not staying stagnant to a certain vision, but like flowing and being able to experience all the different timelines and moving in what feels right in the moment and creating as you go, rather than being like, all right, I'm going to be there in 5 years and that's the only thing I'm going to hold on to, you know.
Exactly, especially at this accelerated path of growth, right? If you're doing
Yeah.
hypnosis sessions all the time, if you're doing meditations, you're doing Reiki healings, all these different things, they are tools and technology that are coming from the quantum space. We're doing energy work, right? So all these 3D kind of timelines that we sort of set for ourselves, you know, going to college, going to study, going to work, and my career is going to look this way and that way, and then I'm going to have kids, and I'm going to like, that doesn't really count for us anymore, who have chosen to kind of wake up and see what the matrix is for real, what the
Yeah.
actual thing is and what it means for us as creators and designers of our own reality. And our wants and needs change in comparison to what we were able to let go of, right? There's a lot of needs that we
Yes.
coming from a place of trauma. And as we start peeling the onion of the trauma and release this pain and release that pain and release this trigger and release this conditioning, suddenly our minds open way wider, and our understanding of consciousness and the reality of what we're creating, what we want to create, truly what we're here in mission to create, completely expands and changes the trajectory of your life within weeks. So
true, so true. And I think like as we like, even if like certain people have this like goal of like even bringing financial freedom into it, you know, and it's like I want to make like, let's say 10K a month, and that's my goal. But as we like start peeling the trauma or like the programming, it's like, well, why do I really want to make that 10K? And like, why do I have that, you know? And then all of a sudden you start like opening up and shifting into this other way, state of being, you know. So
I know the shift is going and moving away from I have to create this and that to survive, or I have to create wealth in this type of way so I can show up next to my peers in a certain way or whatnot, to rather, okay, this is my mission, this is what I want to accomplish, this is what I agreed to accomplish before I even came onto this earth and remembered who I was, and these are the resources I need to get there. And the universe starts providing as you start really truly committing into your mission. You know, people who are doing the work, who are making a difference in other people's lives and are making an impact, are never going to go hungry, are never going to go without shelter. They're
right. And that's part of our programming. We bring scarcity mindset, and it goes down to like, you know, we're all coming from different cultures, and like my ancestors are in World War II in Eastern Europe, and there is just so much scarcity there. Even if you go back to Poland right now, it's everyone is in such a low vibration because everything is programmed in scarcity, you know, and no one really breaks out of the life they're living in that field because we're so deeply rooted by that ancestral trauma. And it's not until like we start healing it that it goes back and it heals our grandparents, so that hopefully whenever they reincarnate is into a higher frequency of being. So we got to heal those ancestral lineages, those programming, and it's hard, and it's so easy to talk about when it comes back to the daily. It is hard, you know. We're still working through it, everyone's still working through it, so it's
definitely challenging. But then on the other hand, it's really exciting to see, because things, as I said, things we would have gone through and moved through for over generations and years and whatnot, like we can do a lot right now. And whatever we're able to clear right now within our DNA, within our lineage, our future generations are going to have a completely different starting point. You know, this is what we're doing it for. You know, the next generation is going to build the next level of human evolution, you know. So as we take responsibility for that and really do what we can to move through these things and not look away and not hide from the darkness and the fears and the triggers and the overwhelming emotions. That's really
that's huge. Healing the next generation, that's why we're here, and that's really what this whole purpose is, you know, is creating a new world, birthing the new era that's more elevated and cleansed and purified, that can create beauty and love and oneness.
I know, but like with the lotus, we have to go into the darkness, we have to go into the mud, you know. There's all these spiritual memes where they say, you know, that's how you imagine awakening, but in reality you're like digging.
It's like you're exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're moving through the cycles, and it's not always pretty. I know it, we know it, we all know it. It's just trying to hold the awareness through the dark times. That's why we're giving spirituality. It doesn't mean that our life is light and love. It just means we have the tools to deal with life.
Exactly. And one of our guidances that we have also received from our Blueray collective team from the other side, beyond the veil, is that we should not be fearful of showing that side of ourselves as well. Like we need to show up authentically, and we have to keep showing up and keep sharing the journey, because sometimes when we go online and we're like completely ruffled hair, we've been through it and like barely made it out of bed because of solar flares, but in my life and I haven't slept for 3 days and I look like we still need to show up. You know? There's all these gurus out there, they're like, oh, love and light, and this is how you're gonna, and if you're gonna be amazing, like Yes, and there's obviously a part that's necessary, and they have guided us too, and they're amazing doing their own thing. But I think we're kind of directed in that direction where we're like, okay, we're currently moving through the mud. This is what we're learning. What do you guys think? You know, this is kind of how we're planning on doing it. So don't judge us. We're not going to judge you. There's no judgment in this place. This is like a place of real, you know, show up as you are and be who you are, and appreciate it and love for that.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just one more thing I wanted to say about the Blueray Collective. So obviously there's different kind of ways of existence, right? I mean, I don't know how obvious it is actually. We should go deeper into that, but where the universe is coming from, when the universe is born, there's this ray of light, and it's the white light in many different forms. It's the collective consciousness, it's the creative intelligence of this universe, right? But there's different kind of rays, and these different kind of rays, they created different kind of aspects of reality. And there are a lot of beings that are aligned to the Blueray, and we are both from the Blueray because we both connect to the Syrian, Pleiadian, and Arcturian consciousness, and all
Mhm.
beings, or all three civilizations that we have connected to from these different places are all blue beings, you know. And I think in my regression after yours, when you talk to the blue beings, we wanted to get to know more about this collective that we're creating. All we knew is we wanted to create a collective, you know. So we got one,
Mhm.
which is like the lotus, and on the other hand, we had monarch, butterfly. So
Yeah.
the symbology of the butterfly is really interesting because it's the most obvious or understandable symbol for transformation, right? Being able to go into your cocoon and completely disintegrate. You're still the same DNA, you know, you look one way, you go into the cocoon, disintegrate, put yourself back together again, and come out a completely different being. You look completely different, but you're still the same DNA, you're still you. And that's our transformation process, right? And yeah, the butterfly that I saw in the regression was blue, and we're like, okay, blue lotus, blue butterfly, the blue beings, there's something about blue. So we realized, okay, we are actually connecting to the Blueray collective, the Blueray beings. And it's not just us kind of starting it because we created this Instagram handle saying Blueray collective, you know, it's a collective that exists and has been existing since the beginning of time. And we're able to tune into it through our work. And now we're like, okay, let's make it happen. Let's create this platform where all the Blueray beings can come together and exchange. And of course, all the beings from other rays are obviously very welcome, but we will have the guidance and support of Blueray beings from
Always.
cosmos. Exactly. And we are more than excited to also introduce them. We will be sharing hypnosis sessions with connecting with these beings, or channeling sessions where we're able to connect with these beings. And yeah, it's going to be incredibly interesting what we are planning
Yeah,
to do.
we've have quite a few over the past year. We've had quite a few visitations where we connected with all these species and had guidance and conversations and channeled their light language and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely be coming through much more as well.
Mm-hmm.
And another cool thing what we realized is that both of our Mayan astrology together is a Blueray, which we're both, I'm like a yellow star or something and you're something else, right?
Yeah.
So but
Blue storm, so there's a lot of blue in there too. Yeah.
but combined we're both Blueray, which is pretty awesome. So, and we found that out after we made the whole name and came across this. So we're like, oh my God, this makes total sense. It's like,
oh, it's so interesting, just the process of going about it too, right? It's not like something you just randomly come up with. Like, we dug through clues and through guidance, through the physical space as well as our dream space and our subconscious space, until we were like, okay, this actually works and let's build on it, you know. And there's so many synchronicities that have happened so far, and there's going to be many more synchronicities happening, and we're really, really energetically opening up the space for all the other Bluerays and all the other beings that are aligned with our frequency, that they're going to be aligned with our frequency. And we're so excited for you guys to join us in these conversations. And yeah, we'll be also doing podcasts.
mm-hmm.
and go deeper into these topics and pick the brains of incredible people that we already know and that we're going to know through the collective.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I think that's good for our first session.
Yeah.
Sounds good. If there's any questions, please, check in the comment section and we will get back to you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Until the next time.
Until the next time.